Today's video is going to focus on dividing polynomials, and these are the notes in your quarter 3 notebook on page 27. Go ahead and follow along with the notes. They're awfully short today. If you look, they start on page 27 and your notes finish up on page 28. So I have 8 examples to show you. And then if you want, you can try the You Try section for extra practice on page 29 and 30. And then your homework for this lesson is going to start on page 31, labeled Practice. But for the beginning of this video, what I want to do is start with the notes on how to divide a polynomial. And so I'll start with the first question that you have here. When it says divide, I think the easiest thing to do first would be to take your polynomial and actually write it out like you are dividing, so 6x plus 9, and then you're going to divide every term of your polynomial by the number or potentially later by the letter that it says to divide. So I'm going to take 6x plus 9 and divide each of those terms by 3, and then when I divide, I just take 6 divided by 3, which is 2. I leave my variable there, and then my 9 divided by 3, which is 3, and this is the polynomial that remains after I divide 6x plus 9 by 3. The next question isn't really that much more difficult. I'll take my polynomial, it's 4x cubed plus 2x squared, and each of those terms I'm going to divide by one single x. Now, if you remember what we did from chapter 7, what you want to do is look at how many x's you have in your numerator, how many you have in your denominator, and then simplify. If I have 3 x's multiplied in my numerator, think x cubed is x times an x times an x. And if I have 2x squared, which would be 2 times x, I can cancel out an x from your numerator and denominator. And what I'm left with is a 4 times an x, or 4x squared. And for my second one, if I cancel out one of the x's that I have on top with the x that I have in the denominator of my fraction, then I would have 2 times x left, or 2x. Simply the rule from chapter 7 we had was subtraction, so 3 minus 1 is how I got a power of 2, and then a power of 2 minus a power of 1 is how you get a power of 1 left over. This would be the polynomial 4x cubed plus 2x squared divided by an x. And there's your answer. Here's the third one. In this example, we're going to divide by both a number and a letter. Again, take each term of your original polynomial and write them out, and then take every one of those terms and divide by the polynomial that they say to divide. Now your numbers you want to just divide like you would normally. 3 divided by 3, those cancel out, we're left with 1 and 1. 9 divided by 3, we can do that, that's going to be 3 over 1. And 6 divided by 3, we can cancel that, that's going to be 2 over 1. And then now I'm going to simplify my x's. If I have x squared in the top, which would be an x times an x, and I have 1x on the bottom and I cancel 1 out, I'm left with 1x. If I take my 3x and divide by an x, my x's cancel out and I'm left with 3 divided by 1, which is 3. And now this one maybe looks a little bit more difficult, but negative 6 divided by a 3x, my 6 and my 3 cancel, so I'm left with that negative 2, but the x in the denominator did not get canceled out. So you actually leave that x over, that x under the denominator of your fraction. So this would be your answer for number 3. For number 4 here, if I take 40 x to the 8th, y to the 3rd, minus 10x to the 7th, y to the 4th, and I divide each of those by 5x to the 5th, y cubed, this becomes one of those problems that we did in chapter 7. Divide your numbers, 40 and 5. 40 divided by 5 is, what is 40 divided by 5? Isn't that 8? 8 and 1. 10 divided by 5 would be a 2 and a 1. And now I'm going to look at my x's and compare which side of my fraction has more, the top or the bottom. If I have 8 x's in the top and 5 in the bottom, that means I have 3 more x's left over in the top of my fraction. And if I have a y cubed divided by a y cubed, those are the same, they're going to cancel out. Now my subtract sign, my linking term is going to stay. 2 divided by 1, my numbers. But now as I compare my x's, I have x to the 7th, or 7 x's multiplied in the top, divided by 5 x's in the bottom of the fraction. I have 2 more x's left over in the top of that fraction. So these 5 get canceled out. And then likewise with the letter y's, y to the 4th, if I divide out those 3, I'm going to cancel all of these 3 out, and I'm going to be left with 1y left over. Everything from the bottom got canceled out here, and so I have no more fractions left over after I've divided. I'm going to start a new video for the next page. If you feel like you're ready to go and you want to try the You Try pages, go ahead and try a couple, see if you got them on your own. Check with the key on Canvas, and then you can get started on your homework.